Ravi, the father, was a picture of amiable normalcy. His easygoing nature and friendly demeanor quickly won over the dissipated. Ravi, we soon learned, was an author. He spent his days secluded in his attic office, crafting stories unknown. His evenings were dedicated to his family, laughter spilling from their brightly lit windows. He seemed ordinary, a man who cherished his family and nurtured his craft. He brought Priya flowers every Friday. He played catch with his children in their sprawling backyard. His integration into Oakhaven was seamless. He joined the library book club, his insights surprisingly astute. He volunteered at the annual bake sale, his apple pie a resounding success. He was the antithesis of everything the Blackwood house represented, or so we thought. The first sign was subtle, a low hum emanating from the Blackwood house at night. It was easy to dismiss, to attribute to an old house settling into itself. But the hum persisted, growing louder with each passing night. Then came the thuds. Heavy, rhythmic thuds like something substantial being dragged across the wooden floor. They started after midnight, breaking the quiet sanctity of the night. Sleep became elusive. Fear, an unwelcome visitor, crept into our minds. We exchanged uneasy glances, our smiles strained. The idyllic facade of Oakhaven was cracking. One night, a crimson glow pulsed from the Blackwood house, bathing the surrounding trees in an infernal light. It wasn't the warm glow of a fireplace. This was different, sinister, as though the house itself was bleeding light. Shadows danced within, their movements frantic, unnatural. It was a scene from a nightmare, terrifying in its implications. Whispers escalated to hushed conversations. Speculation ran rampant. Some spoke of ancient curses, of the house's dark history resurfacing. Others more rationally suggested faulty wiring, gas leaks, but none of the explanations felt sufficient. The fear was palpable, a shroud smothering Oakhaven's tranquility. Ravi remained unchanged. His smile was as disarming, his demeanor as affable. He seemed oblivious to the fear that had gripped Oakhaven, to the whispers that followed him like a shadow. But I noticed a change. His eyes, once warm and inviting, now held a distant, unsettling gleam. His smile seemed strained, a mask barely concealing something else. His writing routine became erratic. He would disappear into his attic for days, emerging looking haggard, his eyes bloodshot. The sweet aroma of baking bread that once wafted from their kitchen vanished, replaced by a strange, metallic scent. The dissonance between the man we knew and the horrors unfolding in his house was jarring. Something was terribly wrong. Driven by a morbid curiosity, I found myself drawn to the Blackwood house one moonless night. The house had always been a source of local legends, whispered tales of dark rituals and eerie occurrences. As I approached, the air seemed to thicken, a palpable sense of dread settling over me. The old creaking gate groaned as I pushed it open, its rusted hinges protesting against the intrusion. Each step I took felt heavier, as if the very ground beneath me was warning me to turn back. But some inexplicable force urged me forward, deeper into the shadows of the night. The crimson glow pulsed, beckoning me closer. It was unlike any light I'd ever seen, almost alive in its intensity. The way it flickered and danced against the window panes was hypnotic, drawing me in like a moth to a flame. I could feel its warmth even from a distance, a strange, unsettling warmth that seemed to seep into my very bones. I hid in the shadows of the ancient oak tree, my heart pounding against my ribs. The tree, with its gnarled branches and thick trunk, provided a semblance of cover, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every rustle of leaves, every distant hoot of an owl sent shivers down my spine. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves, but the anticipation was almost unbearable. Through a gap in the curtains I saw it, a sight that chilled me to my core. The room was dimly lit, shadows dancing on the walls, creating an almost surreal atmosphere. My eyes were drawn to the center of the room where a figure stood, shrouded in mystery and menace. Ravi, bathed in the unholy red light, stood over a circle etched on the floor. His face was a mask of concentration, eyes closed, lips moving in silent incantations. The light cast eerie shadows on his face, making him look almost otherworldly. The circle on the floor was intricate, filled with symbols and markings that seemed to pulse with their own energy. Strange symbols, indecipherable yet undeniably menacing, glowed ominously. They seemed to shift and change, as if alive, their meanings just out of reach. I felt a strange pull towards them, a curiosity mixed with fear. It was as if they were calling out to me, whispering secrets of ancient and forbidden knowledge. He chanted in a language I didn't understand, his voice low and guttural, his body swaying rhythmically. The sound was both mesmerizing and terrifying, a haunting melody that seemed to resonate with the very walls of the house. Each word he spoke seemed to hang in the air, heavy with power and intent. The air crackled with unseen energy. It was as if the very fabric of reality was being stretched and twisted, the boundaries between the known and the unknown blurring. I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end, a primal instinct warning me of the danger I was in. Terror, primal and consuming, gripped me. My mind raced, trying to make sense of what I was witnessing, but it was beyond comprehension. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to run, to get as far away from this place as possible. But I was rooted to the spot, unable to move. I stumbled back, my foot catching on a root. The sudden movement broke the spell and I fell to the ground, the impact jarring me back to reality. Pain shot through my ankle, but I didn't care. I had to get away, had to escape the malevolent force that seemed to be closing in on me. The sound, though faint, echoed in the stillness. It was a soft, almost imperceptible noise, but in the silence of the night it was deafening. It was the sound of something ancient and powerful, something that should not be disturbed. Ravi's head snapped up, his eyes meeting mine. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. His gaze was intense, filled with a mixture of surprise and anger. I could see the realization dawn in his eyes, the understanding that he had been discovered. And in that moment I knew that I had to run, that my very life depended on it. The next morning the Blackwood house stood eerily silent. The curtains were drawn, the crimson glow extinguished. The moving van was gone, leaving no trace of the family that had so recently resided there. A collective gasp rippled through Oakhaven as the news spread. Ravi and his family had vanished, disappeared into thin air. The police were called, but their investigation yielded no answers. The house remained deserted, a monument to the horror that had unfolded within its walls. It stood as a stark reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of our peaceful town. Driven by a need for answers, I returned to the Blackwood house. The place had always held an eerie charm, but now it felt more like a tomb, a repository of secrets long buried. The wind howled through the broken windows, carrying with it whispers of the past. The door creaked open, revealing a chilling emptiness. Each step I took echoed through the desolate halls, amplifying the sense of abandonment. The floorboards groaned under my weight, as if protesting my intrusion. Dust motes danced in the faint rays of sunlight that pierced the gloom. It was as if the house itself was alive, breathing in the light and exhaling shadows. The silence was deafening, broken only by the occasional creak of the old structure. The air hung heavy, thick with the residue of something sinister. A musty odor filled my lungs, mingling with the scent of decay. It was a place where time had stopped, where memories lingered like ghosts. The metallic scent lingered, assaulting my nostrils. It was a sharp, acrid smell that hinted at the house's long-forgotten past. Every corner seemed to hold a story, every shadow a secret. And there, on the floor of what was once Ravi's study, I saw them, the symbols. They were etched with a precision that suggested a purpose, a ritualistic intent. The sight of them brought back memories of Ravi's obsession with the occult. Etched deep into the wood, they seemed to pulsate with a faint, malevolent energy. It was as if the symbols themselves were alive, feeding off the fear and uncertainty that permeated the room. They were identical to the ones I had seen in my nightmare, the ones from Ravi's ritual. The realization hit me like a cold wave, sending a shiver down my spine. These symbols were not just marks, they were a gateway to something far more sinister. The sight sent shivers down my spine. What had we witnessed? The air grew colder and I could feel the weight of unseen eyes watching me. It was as if the house itself was aware of my presence, and it did not welcome me. What had become of Ravi and his family? Their faces stared back at me from old, dusty photographs, frozen in time. The house held their secrets, and I was determined to uncover them, no matter the cost. Oakhaven attempted to move on. Life slowly returned to a semblance of normalcy. But the fear remained, a constant undercurrent to our daily lives. The Blackwood house stood abandoned, a specter of our collective nightmare. It became a taboo subject, one we avoided discussing, as if by not acknowledging it, we could erase the horror we had witnessed. But some things cannot be unseen. Some memories refuse to fade. Late at night, when the wind whispers through the ancient oaks, I imagine I can still hear it. A faint rhythmic thumping like a heartbeat emanating from the Blackwood house. A chilling reminder that some mysteries are better left unsolved.